wanna wake up with regret inside my lungs. I don't wanna wake up with sadness on my tongue. Only got one life to live. I can't let this slip.
So go about your little aura thing. I want to hear about that.
Okay, so you just tipped me off to something I wanted to be. I'm going to share with you.
See, I love this
So
how
in
spirit
my,
works. Like,
yeah, okay, so I didn't learn who to meditate with. It was the channel that helped me. So I picked archangels that directly were related to this hobby and getting my spirituality out through the hobby. So there's like, okay, Gabriel, communication,
Yep, me too.
throat
I work with
chakra.
Gabriel and Michael, my two
Yes.
biggest ones. Yep.
So Raphael, heart, and also to heal anything I've got going on at that time so I can do whatever video I want to do. And then Ariel, because she
Yep.
handles like animals and
My
water and
dog's
plants.
name is Ariel.
Oh, okay, there you go.
They named her at the place I bought her from before yes,
Before you
and
go
I
on.
didn't even know what her name
Okay,
was until I got there to put the down payment and stuff on her.
okay, that's
That's
amazing.
I just and The Little Mermaid is like one of my favorite Disney movies. So one of them.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
so
crazy. And
I
always
also
see
picked
mermaids
up
too.
I also picked up Jophel because she's over artist. And I
Oh,
started asking her about how to be as artistic as possible in my builds so they would be
yeah.
aesthetically pleasing. And then Metatron, I did not know why.
Yep.
I
Metatron
did
was I
not
was
know
guided
why.
to too. Yep.
And then Michael, of course. But I did not know why Metatron until it came out in someone's reading. Oh, Metatron is your third eye. I was like, oh, what the? Okay, I
Yep.
get it now. Then I started having a conversation, and I always apologize when I start. I'm like, okay, angels in the realm, whoever has anything to do with me, how minor or how major, please come forward. I may not know your
Please
not
stand up.
know your
Please
name,
stand up.
but I, apologize if I don't know who you are. I
Right.
just know who I'm gonna ask. So I do them, my angel posse, and my ancestrals,
Mm-hmm.
and the divine and Mother Nature, and my two puppies that died. So that's how I started out. So I started talking to Metatron specifically. Okay, who is this new person coming in? Why can't anyone answer my question? Why won't any of you send me a sign? Why won't any of you do anything that will let me know who this is? Okay, 2 days later. And when I dream, I don't always just wake up from it and know exactly what's going on. I had a dream that I was in a house. I think it was my house. And I was walking from a kitchen area into like an informal dining area that didn't have a table in it, but just like, I don't know. And then there's a television area in the forefront. So there's people there and we're laughing. And I'm telling a story as I'm walking through from the kitchen into the living
Mm-hmm.
portion. There's like a club chair to my right, and there's someone sitting in it, and I just go, and the chair's not big enough for both of us, basically, but I squeeze in, and I'm sitting right next to this guy, put my arm around him, I kiss him on the neck, and I'm like, and I'm saying something right before I kiss him, and people are like giggling behind me, and then there's someone in front of me watching television. It's not a sports thing, thank God. It's something like another channel is on, and he turns, and that's when my third eye kicked in. I saw him spot on. And then he kissed me on the lips. When he kissed me, I read the energy. I read our passion, our connection, our chemistry. I read everything.
Wow.
It's like we were best friends.
Yep.
We had this amazing relationship. I read it all within a second.
That's just like me and my
So,
new guy friend. I'm telling you, it's like crazy. Off the
so I
charts
woke
chemistry
up.
and all the way around and intuitive. He knows what I'm thinking before I say and I do the same thing to him and everything works out perfect. Like it meshes well. It's like really cool.
So I wake up and I am wide awake. I like wake up immediately and I start talking to Metatron. Okay, is this the guy? Is this why you showed me? This is the guy right here, right? This is the guy that was in my dream. Okay, yeah, whatever. So I'm like, okay, you're right. Everybody had been saying this is not your type. This is going to be someone that's not even your type. I usually go for Latin men. Oh no, this is someone who is at least Middle Eastern, black beard, black hair, kind of a thin build, and his smile was amazing. And I could tell he had the best sense of humor.
Wow. Yeah.
So in talking to Metatron, I'm like, okay, you sent me this third eye. So this, I'm saying, I'm validating this is him. Okay, now I had deleted all my dating apps because, you know, some of them are hookup apps. So I deleted
well, I mean, I've been there.
I'm like,
I haven't
okay,
like pursued it, but yeah.
This is what we're not.
I did all that.
This is what we're not.
6 months ago.
This is what we're not. This is not what we're doing now. We're focused on something serious. Okay. So I left one that had my spirituality link into it and a very nice profile. I thought, oh no, I like this one. It's not so much a hookup site. It is kind of a connection site or a dating site, but people still hook up. So I left that one. I'm like, okay. 2 days later, guess who shows up on my grid? Guess who viewed my profile?
The guy from the dream?
This dude.
What?
So,
did you fall out of your chair?
Oh my God. You talk about it's him. I zoomed in on his face. It's the beard, the eyes, everything.
Wow.
The only thing difference is, okay, even in my dream, he had glasses on. He's wearing sunglasses that are the same rim as the glasses.
Wow.
And he's wearing like one of those Panama Jack short-brimmed hats. So I can't see his top of his head. It's him. I sent him a message. I said, oh, wow, you have a really interesting profile, blah, 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 blah. So I have not heard back. I thought, okay, did I screw up because I contacted him? He's supposed to be contacting me, or it's just not the right timing yet. He lives 2 miles from me. 2 miles. Yes. 2 miles.
Oh right my gosh.
And I know it. I have total recall of that 3D image. And it is him. I am convinced it is him. So, of course, Metatron's not saying, you know, whatever. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's answering any of my prayer requests. Exactly. It's all in divine time.
Stay in the moment. Don't overthink. I know.
Yeah. So that happened. That's one of the most recent things. I swear, I have said this in one of my meditation sessions. You guys just love to play with us.
Oh yeah.
You love to send out just a teeny bit of information.
Why tell you everything? You gotta learn it. You gotta go through the experience. You know, we can't, take all the fun out of it.
I know.
That's the growth process. That's the fun part.
That is exactly right. Okay, so getting back to one of the things we had talked about before that I want to share that I think is important for your audience is how you can get truly, I'm not going to say what I want to say. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't care. So I never understood why I was so connected to Mother Earth. I never have understood that. When I was a child with a little red wagon, I was putting dirt in it and trying to put plants in it and trying to get things to grow. Of course, when you're a kid, you just pull something out of the ground, you think it's going to grow and you put it in new dirt. No, it kills it. But as a child, I really was into nature then. Yeah. I used to go camping all the time. I used to take China with me. Still love to go camping.
They call me the green thumb at work because I got all these plants and I propagate them at work and I give them away to everybody. I brought them home and I propagate them.
One of the things that's popped up is, in the readings, how they talk about this could be, a DM or a DF with this card or this card or this card. Okay, so for some reason for me, it's been stuck in my head that I am I resonate with Queen of Swords and Queen of Wands. And I think I resonate with
feminine energy. Your divine feminine is what you resonate. Yeah.
Yes.
It's your main.
So so I think I birth more constantly in my channel that I'm always birthing. I think that's why I'm in.
You are in feminine. You are. I can tell right now. I mean, I knew that when you started connecting that you were. I felt the divine feminine like very strong.
Okay.
So yeah.
Then so I think the sword, because my sword is up and I know how to protect myself now. I didn't know about that before. Yep. Now I'm really good.
Discernment.
Yeah, that sword. Yes, that sword is up. It ain't coming down. I don't know about the wand. I haven't done the research on it. I think, does the wand have something to do with manifestation?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's it. Okay, then I know the connection. All right. So, um, so I've been going on nature walks, and it just popped into my head one day. I usually talk. I usually talk to my angels or the
Mhm.
divine. And I've always talked to the divine all day long. I'll just give thanks for everything I see that looks cool. This day I was talking, and I was like, Mother Nature, it is time I find my wand. And it just popped out of my head. I mean, I was talking out loud. I mean, people around me probably think I'm crazy. I'm
I
just
can only
talking out
imagine
loud.
what they thought when you said it out loud.
Yeah.
Like
So
immediately their mind goes there, right?
exactly. I mean, all right. So it's like, okay, it's gonna happen, whatever. Just that's how we are. So guys, don't worry about
It's hilarious.
it.
I love
So,
it.
so it just popped out one day, and I said, okay, hey, maybe you can point me in the right direction to finding my one. I really want to find my one. So I started saying that every time. So one morning I woke up and I felt like it was like, I think you need to go on a walk today, but go someplace new. I said, okay. So I Googled trails and I found, oh, there's a trail north of me that I've not been to yet. I said, okay, let me go. Oh, we'll try that one. So I get dressed in my walking gear, which means you got to have pants and rubber boots and everything on in case I want to get down to the stream. And so I crossed this bridge into this new park. What I loved about it is it had two dog paddocks on site that were really, really nice and completely shaped. And I thought, oh, if I ever get a dog, this is where I'm going to bring them. And it had a water park
Oh
for
my
dogs.
goodness.
Like, you know how the water that shoots up out of the ground?
Yeah.
There was dogs all around in it, just playing in the water. I was like,
Oh,
oh
wow.
my God, I so want to come. Will they let me just go over there and play in it? I don't know. I don't have a dog, but I want to get out there and play in the water. It looked like so much fun. So I crossed over the bridge, and you had three ways you could go: left, right, or forward. So it was like a trident.
Wow. What? Oh,
Okay, hang
symbolism.
on.
Go ahead.
When you said your connections earlier off camera,
The
I forgot
mermaids
to
and
tell
stuff. That's crazy.
I forgot to tell you that I have, for some reason, a deep connection with Atlantis
Oh, me too.
and
And Lomaria, Egypt,
and the pyramids.
obviously from my past life. Yep. But all of that, the
Yeah. So
dolphins, the mermaids, all that. Yep.
yeah, I didn't. So this is what popped into my head. I was like, okay. So I'm standing there and I'm going, I'm going to go left. I feel like I'm being told to go left. So I go left, walk just a few feet, and I find this amazing piece of driftwood. I was like, oh, I love it. So I put it to the side because, it's too big to carry. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep going this way. So I make this big curve and I'm looking and I'm walking around. I was like, oh, I'll go this way now. So I'm just meandering through. Then there's this beautiful open meadow where it's just a meadow and the grass is really tall and the wind's blowing. Oh, it's a beautiful day out. Keep walking and we come up to this backdrop of these $1 million homes that back up to one side of this park. And what I always say about big expensive homes, look over the back of their fence. They always throw stuff out. So I'm on my way to look behind the back of the fence, and there's these trees that have grown over to the ground. You've got to lift the limbs up to crawl under them. I get under the trees, and I'm like, oh, well, the first house has nothing. Okay, so they're clean. I'm walking to the right, and I find a bog garden, which you really don't find those in Texas because the water would dry up.
Yeah.
So I found
that's mostly down where I'm at, like in lower coastal Alabama and stuff. Or am I Mobile?
You're in Mobile?
I am outside of Mobile, across Mobile Bay and Daphne. It's the first exit you come to when you cross over the bridge. But I work in Mobile. I work in Mobile. What now?
Have you ever heard of Gadsden?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gadsden, Alabama. Yep.
Hello.
Wow.
That's where my house is.
What? See, I told you.
I live.
Soul family coming there. I kept hearing that readings too. Your soul family's coming in. I'm like, yay, finally. Yeah. I've been waiting. I've been in hermit mode forever. Let go of all these old friends. And now it's like I'm waiting for the new ones to come in.
So as I pass the bog garden, I'm like, I see something. There's a floater plant that's completely covered the water. I'm like, oh my God, I have to get one of those. But I'm looking at the next house, and I see something white that's glistening on the ground by a storm drain. Now, not like a city drain. This is a drain that this house has put in that's like this big around. So it's not from their plumbing. This is from their yard. I'm like, oh, let me walk over there. It's like it could be, yeah, like that. It could be like that.
Yeah.
So I walk up there and I pick up this one pebble, and I forgot to tell you what I prayed for. when I was walking over the bridge, I prayed to Mother Earth. I said, hey, with the Rainbow series, which is my new series of tanks coming out, it's going to be 5 tanks, and they're going to be based on the colors of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be red, orange, yellow, and green are going to be together, and then blue and violet.
Wow.
And I'm doing them in basically what you would call an X, 2, 1, 2. What it really is,
that's another number.
And maybe
you just like left and right, you're telling me all these things, and I'm like blown away how it relates to me. That's just crazy. It just keeps happening.
Okay, so I don't know. Okay, so I got this message to do a rhombus, so I had to look it up. A rhombus is when you take 2 triangles. One is like a pyramid. The other one is upside down. When they just barely intersect each other, it creates a diamond, which is a rhombus. So my tank with 2 colors, the yellow-green, is going to be my rhombus tank. And I had to build a special shelving system to put the tanks there. So I'm asking her, like, Mother Nature, okay, so
that's sacred geometry. You know that, right?
Yeah. So I asked her, I said, okay, I need something to tie them together aesthetically. And I don't have anything yet. I said, I don't want to buy anything. I want it to be something from nature. I want it to be something I find. I said, if I could find gravel that would work for all of them, they would all have that one continuity, and then we'll have the colors. Yes. So guess what? When I find this white glistening pebble, it's actually something you would get like at Michael's. It's like that stones that they've covered in perlite. And they're kind of big. They're kind of like the size of a thumb. But as I started digging, it's also natural quartz.
I was going to say quartz was like came to my mind when you said that, like granite quartz or whatever. Yeah.
So from that drain, about 4 feet down, I dug them all out. And I ended up with, I think it was 6 Ziploc bags.
Wow.
And I've got 5 tanks. And so I cleaned them. And I think I'll have just enough to sprinkle on each one of the tanks. So that'll be their continuity, and I'll get to do the rhombus that I want, which I don't know, it was just thrown in my head, and I didn't even know what it was until I had to look it up. And then when I looked it up, it's spiritual.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, well, there's another divine intervention right there.
There's portals and things that you can open up with certain symbols and structures and things.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
You can manifest all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. You can learn out there.
On this trail, she delivered immediately on something I could use in all the tanks. And then I found a water plant that in Texas, we call it it's called a mosquito. I think it's called a mosquito fern. It looks like a baby fern, and it grows on the water. It's also called fairy moss. It's called fairy moss or mosquito fern. So it has 2 names.
Wow.
And so I'm trying to see if I can grow it to where it can grow in an
Fern Gully just came to my mind.
What?
Fern Gully just came to my mind.
Oh.
Ferns and them fairies, like so crazy.
So, and I had prayed on that one for a wand as well. So it was 2 days later, I get the image again. Hey, why don't you go to your favorite place? Like, okay, let's go today. So I put my clothes on, go to my favorite place, which is here close to where I live. And I walk a different direction than I normally walk. And this one location has 2 very special meanings. On this trip, I found my wand within 5 minutes. I was walking around this big, huge tree that had fallen. And this is a park where when it falls, they might chop it up or they may not. They may just let it lay there. And they just keep a dirt trail cleared off. And so literally my wand was standing straight up. And it has this. It has this.
I love that. So the trident. See?
The triad.
That's how spirit talks.
They're really little, and I'm hoping I can keep them because I'm letting it dry out completely. I want it to be dried out completely before I start sanding it down. I told Mother Nature, I said, oh my God, this is amazing. It has it on here if I can keep it. And then there's only like a couple of places I need to sand it completely down on the sides. It's pretty freaking straight, and it's almost as tall as I am, which I wanted something that was almost as tall as I am. And so I thought, okay, this is amazing. Now, to get to the aura story.
Yeah. Oh, almost forgot about that. I'm so like enthralled
Okay.
with all this.
It was Amanda who said, some of you need to go out into nature and walk barefoot, and you will
Ground.
understand
Mhm.
what happens to your body when you do this.
Yes. I
To
do
take your
that. I
shoes
try to do
off.
that regularly in my backyard.
Yes. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go to my favorite place, which is where I find moss even in the summertime in Texas. And it's got a nice large canopy of trees in it. It's where I found my wand. And there's a section where you're going straight doing a curve and then it splits. And then
Mhm.
there's all this ground in the middle that's just raw with dead everything, fallen, everything. They don't mow a thing. So where it falls, it just falls. So I get to the point where I'm in the fork in the road and I'm like, okay, I was telling Spirit, all right, guys, here I am. I'm going to take my shoes off. Please protect my feet. In Texas, we have thorns. I don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
step on something, cut my foot or something. I take my shoes off. I step into the unkempt area. I walk all through it. Not one thorn.
Wow.
Nothing. Not a scratch on my foot. I make it all the way across this huge field, and I'm super excited I was able to do it. I get to the other side where is the next trail is picking up, and I'm standing there and I'm looking forward on the trail, which goes along the Trinity River for us. So I know the river is ahead of me, and I thought, I'm
Trinity.
standing there. Yeah, exactly.
I
Yes,
mean,
Trinity.
sink after sink, man. That's
Yes.
crazy.
So I'm standing there, and this is when something otherworldly happens. I feel the earth coming up from my feet.
Yep.
I feel my light, which in an instant I knew my light starts at the core.
Yeah.
It comes up through the earth. It hit the bottom of my feet. It comes through me, goes out my crown chakra, and
Yep.
goes to heaven.
That's connecting the earth grid lines. So not all, oh, I just got goosebumps. Thank you, Spirit. That's confirmation. So I have part of my journey, and me and my twin we were supposed to do together was we're grid workers. At a certain phase,
Mm-hmm.
we were to begin traveling and not only, I guess, speak or do whatever we needed to do to help people, but there would be specific places we would be guided to along those travels that we need to go out into nature and do specific grid work. And part of that is connecting barefoot in nature, skin in whatever, touch in nature. And we had to do specific, I don't want to call it rituals, but it's basically like you're opening portals. You're shifting portal energies from negative into light, but basically like that. And you're help anchoring in the love and light code frequencies onto the earth grid. There's a crystalline earth grid. I don't know if you looked that up.
No,
You can
I
look
didn't
it
look
up.
that up.
There's a crystalline earth grid. There's like layer upon layer of grids over the earth. Okay. So we're here to help not only bring our light and affect others' auras around us and help awaken others with our light just by being here and
Right.
moving through people and things like that and environments. We shift energy in environments, we shift portals. We shift from negative to positive and to help anchor in the love, the unconditional love and divine love and light. And so that's part of that's part of what we're here to do, a lot of us, light workers and grid workers. And I feel like I was so confused at first because the research that I've done on light workers, starseeds, whatever, is it's so separate, so separate.
Right.
Oh, you're either a light worker or you're a starseed or this. It's together. Like for me, my truth is I found it all tied in together. I'm all
Right.
like that. And I came here to be all of that. I have many different purposes. We're multifaceted as souls, and especially, us volunteers that came and volunteered to come into this earth at this time to do this specific work. It's layer after layer of different work that we do all at the same time. It overlays each other. So it's
Okay.
amazing the more I learn about myself and going in with myself and connecting more with my guides and my higher self, like the information that comes through and it's tying in together and they're piecing it together for me as I go. And you're not allowed to know the whole story, from the
Right.
beginning. Otherwise, you wouldn't walk the path and discover it,
No, because it
Again,
would
it's
probably
this little
overwhelm
Hansel and
you.
Gretel path, here you go, little
Yeah.
here, little there.
Okay, what you're saying, I resonate with 1,000% because we
Mhm.
talked before about I felt like I was a star seed
Yeah.
here for a purpose.
Mhm.
Okay, I
You
don't believe
volunteered to
in
come here. That came
to
out in my past life regression too. My higher self came through and said, they're like, why did you come here? I volunteered. I heard the call go out in the universe and I
right.
volunteered. I just got
I don't
goosebumps again.
believe in trying to put us in a real compact category. I believe exactly what you're saying. We are multifaceted. We may not know all of our gifts
Right.
at once,
We'll come
but
into
they
it
can
when we need
evolve.
to know, when it's time. It'll be
Exactly.
unlocked.
Okay, so we're on the same
Your
page when
soul
it comes
guide,
to
your
that.
soul will guide you and your guides will help guide you, but it's your soul that guides you step by step. Each time you do the work and you unravel another piece of yourself and you let go and you do all this work, it's all happening simultaneously with each other. And you just
Okay,
evolve
then you can
into it
answer
and it
this question.
unlocks at the right time. It's like light
You
codes,
mentioned something
right?
I have to ask. Okay, so I have to ask you a question now about what you just said. The place where I found the snake for Garden of Eden and where I found Turtle in Motion is called Crystal Canyon.
Oh, wow.
Crystal Canyon, when I get to a certain spot, the water changes color. I get dizzy and I can go no
It's a
further.
portal. It's a portal.
Every single time I
Yep.
get there. I met a couple there, and as I was walking up, they said, be careful when you get around this one hole. It can make people dizzy. And and it was not the first time I'd been there. I thought it's because I was a diabetic. I would be fine, and I get there and I feel like I want to pass out. And I have to lay down or sit down and sit down for a very long time. And I'm watching the water, and the water is one color and it goes into another color.
It's almost like the
And then it
dress with
changes.
two shades.
Yeah, it's weird,
Yeah.
but it has a lot of visitors. They say there's no more crystals left. There's something going on there
Yeah.
because I get affected.
Yeah.
So what would cause that for me to get that disoriented though?
It's usually energy portals. And if you notice there's places like there's other places around the world you might get like that too. And what that is just like an energy conduit, just like a portal of energy right there. And it, I'm still learning about grid points and energy ley lines and things like that, but I know specifically I've been guided to do energy grid line work like at portal points and things like that. And you're intuitively guided to them. It's not just go on a map and we're going here.
Right.
Your soul will guide you. It will
Yeah.
evolve. Your guides will put you on the path. That's just the way it was shown, and it's now coming through to me right now as we're talking. Is that as I go, travel around, I'm guided to certain places. I don't know where exactly on the map it, you know what I mean? Like if it's a ley line or whatever there, you have to follow your soul intuition, just like what you're doing. You're doing that work already. You weren't even aware of it, but your soul is guiding you to do that work. That's
Right.
part of what we're here
Well,
to do. Is just follow the
well,
guidance, go along with it.
the interesting thing is the first two times I were there and it happened to me, I went a different path. I didn't know I was going back to the same place. But when I got close to it, I felt it. I kept walking as far as I could walk. I ended up at the same place twice and I went two different directions.
Yeah.
And the same effect happened both times.
Yep. You're
So I
guided
thought,
back there for a
okay,
reason. Your energy is needed
yeah,
there.
yeah.
You
So
may be
there's
guided
something.
back there later. Excuse me. You may be guided back there later to do a specific and guided just sit there and meditate near it wherever you feel that. And you may
Right.
just go with the flow as you're meditating. If you're guided to
I
do
have
certain hand
meditated there.
movements, if you're guided to chant or sing or whatever, you need to follow that intuition. Because
I have meditated there.
see,
I have.
that's your soul guiding you into the work. That's the next level of the work you have to do as a grid worker. And that's something that I was shown that eventually I'm going to be doing. And I started doing some in my backyard just as I was guided to, and it's really cool because you're like, at first your ego is judging it. You're like, what am I doing? you know,
Yeah.
you're like a little kid. You're like, what, am I doing this right? You just got to get your mind out of it.
Yeah.
Turn it off. And I've had to
Yeah.
learn how to do
I
that and just go as I'm guided. Like I'm tied also to Eastern Asian, um,
Mhm.
like Japanese culture, stuff like that. And I do feel like I had a past life, somewhere, in Asia somewhere. And I studied karate and taekwondo or something like that because I'm guided to chi work, like working with the chakras and the chi specifically. I'm guided to a lot of that. I connect with dragons as well. So I'm connected with a lot of different, I believe my soul is very ancient. It's been here many different generations, like times where my soul was needed. And us as twin flames, we were needed to make the shift within that generation of our next level of, evolution as a species, where we come in and we try to help people, guide them and making the shifts and stuff. So we're like the way showers. Like you said, you were born in this specific place, the United States, where, come on, you're the lead person. That's what we're being called to do. We're the front runners. We're supposed to be the way showers. We're supposed to break through the ice, the icebreaker ships of those hard old traditional ways of believing, the religious views, everything, political, everything. We're here to break that all down. That's what twin flames are for. Break down the old system, wake people up, and show them the way through our example.
Yeah.
I just got tons of goosebumps right there, by the way.
Okay, so we're going to stand back in the trail again.
Yeah.
So when I realized that where the light starts and then it goes up to heaven, this is when I had my most powerful third eye vision. I stood there and I was really in awe of what I was feeling. And I stepped back a couple of feet and sat down on a bench because I really wanted to resonate with the feeling. And here's where the third eye vision came in. I was sitting there and I was seeing myself still standing there. And while I was standing there, what I call my mystic quartz aura developed. It's a sphere that encompasses me in it. Mm-hmm. So my light is inside this sphere. The reason why I call it a mystic quartz aura is, you know how they talk about that if you have a clear quartz and they apply titanium to it, when the sun hits it, it gives a rainbow reflection off of it, much like a soap bubble does with the sunlight. Okay, it's just like that. It's like a soap bubble. But it's like super thick. So it's a protection. But when the sun hits it, it's got this beautiful color that makes you look like you're inside of a crystal sphere. That's what kind of in the 3D is what it would be like. But it's you're inside and it's just your aura inside it. So the first time that Metatron showed me this, he showed me that I was in it. It was my light. And then a couple of days later, he would give me the vision again, but this time my aura sent out a pulse, like boom.
Like, oh, wow. Boom. This is so crazy because I've been intuitively guided. Like I feel like I'm pushing out pulses sometimes, but it's like I mentally like make it happen. It's so weird. And I've done that throughout my life and I didn't know what I was doing. That's crazy. Like I feel the surge of energy just going through me like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's so cool. It's like
it took on a life of its own. And what knowledge I had at that exact moment is that you're projecting. You can project your aura.
Yep.
Okay, so then I think it was the next day in meditation, and I was praying about it, and I was asking after Michael cut the binds like we talked about, and how beautiful that is, and I could actually see in my third eye when he does this. I could see how many people the binds were being cut. That's how I knew how big the group was. The two groups were that were doing the dark work, shadow work. Well, and I said this without any knowledge. I prayed afterwards that I didn't want to overstep my bounds. I said, and Michael, my intent is my light. And I said, thank you, Metatron. I see it now. I see that it no longer pulsates. I see that it was a shockwave.
Yep.
That went across the planet into the galaxy, like boom. And it's like I blew everything away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, the stars there and everything like that, but it shot out. And I said, I see what it did. When my aura detects negative energy being sent to me, it goes into action, it goes out, it shatters it, it converts the negative into positive,
transmutes it
into diamond dust particles, much like what we see in the solar system.
It's the diamond grid.
Yes. And I said, that is now collected in a leather pouch at Michael's side.
Wow.
And Michael, my gift to you, what I am manifesting is my light is converting negative to positive.
Right.
So it renders these people mute.
Right.
And you're taking now this positive energy. And I said, I want you to give this to a soul in need at their time. I said, because I do not need this. I already have my blessings. I want this to be given to someone who's in a need at a time. I said, much like I was at once. I said, whether they're contemplating suicide, whether they're contemplating something that's very bad for them, I want you to intercede because you know the person's need more than I would know their need.
And that also helps you detach from anybody in particular. You detach from it.
Yeah, so I'm saying I am giving this to you as my gift, and I hope this is allowed. And I said, but I want these individuals punished. I want them to be punished 10 to 100-fold for their actions because they should not be allowed to do this in the universe to anybody. I said, so I want a clear message to be sent that you're not allowed to do this and that we are waging our battle right now. And this is how we're doing it, is to take care of this darkness that's out there. We're battling it. And it just kind of evolved like that to where now it's just part of, okay, this is going into your pouch. I see there's not that many people. Now we're down to like about 7 people. So me asking Michael specifically to shut off all connections, shut the door between everyone that's negative. And you had asked me in one of my questions what the hardest thing was. That was shutting the door to my husband and my best friend.
Yeah.
And by shutting that door, I also shut it off to any emotions that would come back and say, what if? Did I do enough?
Right.
Whatever, take out those emotions. I don't want to be plagued with that. And I don't want to have to be reliving an emotion that does not serve me. Right. I've made my decision. We're going forward.
Right.
We are not going to be looking back. And I don't know. I like the fact in thinking that we have that kind of control when we're supposed to be, what I always envision is we're warriors on the ground.
Yep.
That we are here and we are a warrior on the ground.
It's not just on the ground, but you know that, right?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay,
many different dimensions.
Well, when I'm thinking, being a star seed and whatever our purpose is to be placed here,
yeah.
I'm thinking you hit the ground running as a warrior. You don't stop. It's like you're an invader. You're invading someplace, you're conquering them or whatever. And that's part of our mission. And I don't know, maybe because of the movies I watch, I don't know.
We're always guided to certain movies too. Is that all those movies and songs are always channeled. They're channeled, their intuitive guidance too. They're there to wake people up. And it's like when Jesus said, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. I never understood. Like, I was like, okay, you understand this one level. Another level up that I've recently, since my last awakening in the last 3 years, was spiritual eyes, in a sense of knowing the whole, like exactly what he was talking about on a higher spiritual level, not just the lower spiritual level, because there's different levels of veil of understanding. And I started getting veil upon veil pulled back. And these movies started making more. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, everything, like I've been watching 2 or 3 times these movies and I didn't see these things in, like The Matrix. Every time I watched that movie, by the way, was initiated one of my spiritual awakenings, one of my more profound ones. Oh, and then I went back and watched it years later, another spiritual awakening, another level. So those movies and the songs, artwork, everything is channeled from the higher realms. The people that channel them through the artists, whatever, they're just tapping into the collective unified field. And whatever is supposed to come, they just grab from it. It doesn't matter who grabs it. I mean, you only have free will choice, but it's meant to come down. Whoever gets it, and they bring it. So it's meant to come down for a reason, to activate, and it's crazy that people don't get activated into a certain level of their own vibration. They have to overcome certain obstacles and get themselves to a certain level, and then it's unlocked. It's like a light code. When it's meant to be unlocked, it unlocks, and then that level of understanding is opened up. And the way God showed me through a vision was, it's like, okay, veil, like the veil of a bride, only you've got layer after layer after layer. So each time you go through that level of healing and the level of self-work, you pull back another veil of understanding, and you see a little bit clearer, a little bit clearer, a little bit clearer, and as you're rising up. And that was so cool how he showed that to me in a vision one day. And I'm like, this is so cool, I mean, I'm seeing people doing this, people that I'm connecting with. And I know we probably should, I think we need to have at least another 2 conversations down the road whenever you're ready, if you want to do that. But because we could talk all day long about so many things.
Oh, yeah. While you're talking, I just saw an orb go across.
Out here? Oh, wait. At your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's
You're talking, and it was formed, and it changed shapes, and it went straight across my vision.
I've seen him too.
And it happened 3 days ago. I saw an orb again. I've seen it.
What happened to you 3 days ago when you were?
I can't remember. Okay, I mean, I'm a flight attendant. Don't ask me what trip I was just on. I have no idea what was going on.
I can't keep up with my life anymore either. It's going so fast.
Okay. I think it was because I was excited about what my baby shrimp were doing, because it's over in the corner where I've got all the baby shrimp, and they just keep amazing me because they're not like regular shrimp. They're out and they're swimming and they're active. They're not hiding, which bigger shrimp, they just like to go in their little caves. But no, these guys are just active. I think that's what it was. I was like going through something like that, but it's not the first time. Yeah, I've seen that. It's really cool. But I was going to tell you, and I want to see your take on this. I think this was 3 years. I was still in Florida. I think it's been 3 years ago. I had a very specific dream where Jesus came and got me, and I died.
I work with Jesus and Magdalene a lot, by the way. Christ consciousness and stuff.
The premise of the dream was that everyone that died at the same second, we're going to have a concert in heaven. So we were the orchestra. And so they were handing out instruments, and I was given a flute. And I told Jesus, I was like, Jesus, I only know how to play the trombone. And he's like, you will be given.
My dad played the trombone. Are you kidding me? And
that was my
instrument, and I played trumpet. I'm coming from a very musical family too. That's so crazy.
So what he said was, though, you will be given the knowledge you need at the time you need it.
Right.
So we're on what is not, it's a platform, but the arena we're in is massive, 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 massive. But everyone's like a shape. They're not people anymore. We're our souls. Energy. And our souls can change shape or whatever. So you could see forms, and there was like thousands and thousands and thousands. And this arena was just massive, but it wasn't a building. But it was in a hierarchical level, so that maybe that was my mortal brain thinking, well, for everyone to see, you'd have to have a hierarchy of seating. It'd have to be arched or angled up. Yeah. But there was no seats. There were no stairs. There was nothing. It was just people floating. And we started playing, and it was the most beautiful music I've ever heard.
And it all came together just like that in that moment, right?
That's what it was.
It's how it works.
And then I kept thinking about, okay, words are very relevant. And
very relevant. I use very powerful now, by the way.
Yeah, I use that now because I think we're given the information we need at the time we need it.
Right.
So yes, we can't know always you were talking about. We want to know all this stuff. Okay,
I
well,
know.
okay, you're not sometimes ready to know everything because it
Right.
won't make sense to you. So they can't give us all the knowledge. But
Yeah. Because we have to walk
that's
through
it's
it and experience those certain things. If they told us
yes,
we wouldn't do that, it would change our trajectory and we wouldn't learn anything. And that's
yeah,
what we are here for is we're all sparks from the one true flame of source and God. And, he created us so he can know thyself more, like basically
right,
more so. And
yeah,
through us not knowing, we can know certain bits and pieces so we kind of go in the right
yeah,
direction at breadcrumb trail or whatever. But us not knowing is the important part because we have to learn those lessons. And as we do that, we learn more about ourselves, and that helps God learn more about, you know, himself. I don't want to
all
put
right.
a gender on God because I don't believe there is a gender. It's both masculine and
No,
feminine.
and
But I'm used to when I say him, it's just my upbringing of masculine, but it's really
right,
both. I'm still learning how to use pronoun. It's the training of the brain from being raised in Christian,
right.
and then it just comes
Okay,
like that. I just
I
wanted
don't
to clear
know.
that up.
My take on God is not one. I, I see it as a collective because if
Well, because we're all
I
part of source. We're all
yes,
connected. Yes.
and I see it as like however large the group is. That's just I don't know. I've always thought that, but oh my God, I was going to ask you something. I think I lost my train of thought. Um, was your take on something? Okay, keep talking because I just forgot what I was going to say.
Well, we're just gonna put that out there. Okay, guys, if he needs to ask that, just put brain. Because sometimes it'll pop back in there.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember what I was gonna ask you. There's so many things that it's like boo, hit after hit after hit of synchronicities
Yeah.
as you're talking.
Is
It
there
just blows me
anything
away.
that
My
is there
dad was
anything that we talked
into
about?
my dad and mom had a band. And my dad came from a musical family. Like his dad was a high school marching band teacher. And so he
Yeah.
became one. And then he went into a brass band called the Dominant Five. And he, there's just a whole another story. You could probably watch my About Me, a little bit about me, um, to kind of go back to the story about how my parents met and all that. But what's crazy is my dad, I just thought this just came to me, another eight. My dad was 8 years
Yeah.
older than my mother. That just
Well, there you go.
just
There's your
dawned on me.
AAA.
The eights keep coming up.
Oh,
So
I know what I was going to ask you.
yeah, what?
What was it like for your family and your close friends when you came out spiritually and you would have changed? And
I'm still in the
um,
process of that, by the way.
okay, okay,
Like this is how connected still to the church in a way I am. The church I
mhm,
grew up in, the Lutheran church I grew up in Atlanta,
right,
I'm still working for them remotely. I have been for about 10
okay,
years, roughly. And my stepmom, the woman that my dad married after he divorced my birth mother, and then he remarried one other person in between, which
yeah.
didn't last very long. She's been in our lives since we were kids. She was our Sunday school teacher at school at church.
Oh, wow.
And they just became friends over many years and between relationships. And she didn't really date anybody else. She was like a loner, still kind of is. But she was always there. So she's been there for us after my dad died when I was 19 or 20. I just turned 20.
Yeah,
And she's been our guide, basically our fill-in mother, because our biological mother wasn't physically, she was bipolar, she
right.
was toxic. We had to learn a lot of lessons from her to
Yeah,
be catalyzed and stuff like that in this lifetime.
yeah,
But um what I was going to say was, I'm still working for her. I haven't told her. I've told her about starting a podcast to help people
right.
and to walk through their healing journey, but I have not told her. And I think I might have mentioned to her it might have a little bit more spiritual things of it, but I didn't go into detail because I still
Okay.
make a paycheck and that pays my mortgage.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, if it happens to come around where they find me and whatever, I'm going to let it evolve however it does. And I'm just going to have to trust. I've told myself I'm just going to have to trust you, God, that the money will just show up how if that goes away.
right,
Like
right.
I had to get past that fear and I'm still working through it.
Yeah,
But my friends that I have stayed in my life, the ones that weren't toxic and negative that have remained with me are growing, are the ones that are growing, obviously. That's why they stayed in my life. They started doing, because they were connected with me, they're part of my soul group. They
Right.
are energetically rising as I'm rising. They're prompted and things are being brought up in dreams and there's situations in their life to do the same thing I'm doing. They just naturally have it happening because we're all connected, energetically, right? And as twin flames, we are connected to a whole collective of group of people, like our soul group. We're affecting people on the planet. Some people we don't even haven't even met yet or know, but we are connected energetically with them for our purpose to help them raise their vibration and ascend and wake up spiritually. So even though we don't even know how many people we're affecting, we are affecting many, many others. When we do the inner work on ourselves, we're helping them wake up to that inner work.
Right.
And it's coming up for them to deal with. And they have that free will choice like everybody else does. Am I going to stay stuck and keep looping in the cycle? They go through the same process we do. We're here to initiate that process and to show them how to walk through it. That's, as teachers and guides, that's what we're here to do. And then do the other soul work that we're here to do on the earth to, anchor the grid points and, change portals and stuff like that. So it's so interesting to me how my life has evolved as a person over the last even 3 years since I've been catalyzed by my twin flame on this journey. And this most recent spirituation coming into my life purpose, understanding my gifts more. I knew I was an empath, intuitive empath. I knew that much. My mother had abilities, but she was twisted and a bit toxic and stuck in her wounding. And there's no judgment on that. I'm learning to forgive her for that. But it was part of her process to get me on my journey to wound me so I could catalyze that and heal others, be able to heal myself and then heal others through that process. Had that not happened to me, I would not be able to do the work I am doing now to catalyze me to do that. So I understand that now. But seeing how I'm affecting my coworker, Emily, like people that I'm working with, and I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing to me that I'm actually doing the work and now I'm seeing it reflected in their lives. Some of them, and I think I said this in a recent video, some of them, it's amazing me because some of them I don't talk to for months sometimes. And I don't even know what's going on in their life. And when I do have connected with them recently or in the last few months, since I've been doing this heavy shadow work and removing toxic people, they're telling me they're going through the same thing without us being physically connected, talking to each other.
Wow.
And so that is amazing to me. And it's so
that's
inspiring
amazing
for me to stay on this journey because trust me, I wanted to give up. I just want to say, F it. I can't do this. This is too hard. You want to shut down. And I know that's probably, part for everybody goes through that. But it also, we have a lot of negative entities working against us. The powers that be that are controlling this world behind the scenes and making people like presidents and whatever, using them like puppets, they are the ones pulling the strings. They're the ones trying to keep us stuck in these cycles looping because they don't want the twin flames to catalyze people. They don't want twin flames to release these people from these toxic patterns in the matrix and free themselves. They don't want them to see that anybody outside themselves is going to, they want to believe it's outside themselves that somebody's going to save them.
Right.
It keeps them stuck in the matrix. But everything they have is within you. And I kept hearing that. And, when you talked about Michael, I was like, I think I knew I was working with Michael and this is before when I was just beginning to watch, tarot readings and stuff like that and intuitive readings.
Right.
I didn't understand that at that time that Michael works with a certain collective, of souls to do certain work here, which wasn't playing. And I didn't understand that about Gabriel. I didn't, I knew about archangels and things, obviously, from my religious upbringing. But when I just randomly started hearing in my head, sort of truth. And I was like, I knew sort of truth. I Googled it. I mean, I knew it was Michael connecting to Michael, but I didn't know why I was hearing it. And the next thing I know, I'm starting to speak my truth more. I'm called to be more authentic in my relationships with people at work, start speaking the things that I was too scared to speak before.
Yes.
All that was coming up, and it was coming up for a purpose, for me to move into my life purpose and overcome those fears of what people are going to think about me. Am I going to lose my job? Blah, 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 blah. I'm still working through that. Like I said, that even came up last week when I was talking to another soul group member, which I hope he'll be on this podcast pretty soon. He has expressed some interest in it. He brought it up to me, and it's like it didn't dawn on me until, you have somebody tell you, hey, you mentioned this 3 times since we've been talking. And I'm like, it's a fear of losing my job. And that was at my day job, my main job. And I'm like, okay, that's my next thing I got to work on is releasing these fears and being more authentic, the next level authenticness, and just whatever happens. I have to just release it, the control. It's all about releasing the need to control the outcome. And when I've noticed that, because twin flames reflect each other, in the physical, when the divine feminine does the work on herself, obviously I'm learning more about that, and she's moved past that, not, I mean, they're a little behind, obviously, or quite a bit behind in a lot of cases, but they go through a super accelerated ascension when they get to a certain point. Boom. It's like overnight sometimes, with them, I've learned, and it can happen like that quick with just a few weeks sometimes, where they just do a shift. They do a lot of work on themselves or whatever. They go through huge tower moment after tower moment, things coming up, and they have to see through the illusions and make the decisions to remove people, whatever places and things out of their life that doesn't resonate, just like we did. But we went through a long process, drawn out process of it. They go through an accelerated when it's their time. And then it's like, boom, then they have that decision, and they're intuitively pulled back to you when you come into inner union, and it's time. The divine timing is right. And so again, you have to let go of the outcome and just live in the moment. And I'm learning that more and more. We're all on this journey. I'm not an expert. I'm just learning as I go, and I'm sharing what I've learned as I go. And that's what it's called to do.
It's amazing that you just said it just like that, because on a video I just did about water quality and the fact that I have hard water where I live, and it's really hurting my shrimp, and I didn't know that. So I'm in the process of rectifying it. And I said straight on the video, I don't ever claim to have the answers, but we will figure this out together one step at a time.
Right.
To your point, my biggest fear in starting the channel is people are going to think it's stupid. They're not going to like me. I'm not going to have a message. And to the point now, I think it was last month, or maybe a little bit earlier, when a message came through when I was meditating to quit editing my videos.
Oh my God, me too. Wow.
I needed to be more real.
Yep.
I needed to be more real, quit trying to be polished, don't want to be one of those channels where everything is perfect. So
perfectionism.
The first video I did, I started the opening 3 times.
Oh my God.
And I started laughing the first 2 times because I kept screwing up. And I literally said in video, Gabriel, would you please fix my throat chakra so I can get through this opening and I can get this video going? Flawless after that point. And so I have been able to overcome that fear of rejection, abandonment. I have worked through all those in
worthiness wound. Yep.
Yeah, all that in this channel has done all that for me. So the first time I used it at work was about 2 weeks ago. And I had a jump seater. And for your guys out there, it's when a working flight attendant is either trying to get home or trying to get to base. They don't live where they fly out of. So when there's no seats open, we have jump seats that are extra that a crew member can sit in.
Yeah, I've seen those. They fold down and got a buckle. Yeah.
To get to where they want to go. So I had a jump seater and I had a crew member in the back. So there's 3 of us in the back. And during the flight, I was talking about, they asked me some question. Oh, I took a 30-second video of the sky we were seeing. So on my channel, I started this thing called Sky Watchers Realm. Oh, this was divine intervention. I needed to mention this earlier. Okay. So I get this idea the first time I do it. I'm like, I'm going to take a video of when we see something really pretty, because most people can't see this on the ground. You have to be up in the air to see what we see. So I take my phone out and I record like a minute. And when I'm trying to post it, we have internet, so I'm trying to post it on TikTok. And so I put it on there and I thought, I need to call this a name. I need to call it something. So the first thing that came to my mind was Star Wars. I thought, ooh, Skywalker. I was like, oh no, that'd be stupid. I said, ooh, what about, and it just came to me, Sky Watcher's Realm. I thought, oh, I love that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I typed Sky Watcher's Realm, and then I say the city I'm leaving and where we're heading, what direction we're heading. And it posts on there, and we get to the ground. I thought, oh, I need to make sure I spelled that right. I didn't even check the spelling. Let me Google Sky Watcher's Realm. Google it. Guess what it means? It's all spiritual. Oh. Spiritual meaning. I was like, okay,
of course it is.
That's no accident. So I'm doing a video.
There are no accidents or coincidences.
Yeah, there's no accidents. So I'm doing a video on this one, and they're asking me, hey, what are you filming? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this for my YouTube channel. You know, I do aquascaping and terrariums and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just came out spiritually about it. Okay, so one of the crews I'm working with, she goes, oh my gosh, I have been a shrimp keeper. And so she's the one that tips me off about having water problems with my shrimp. Oh my God, we bonded like crazy.
Yep.
The other lady that's a jump seeker, I was talking, I said, and you know, I've been getting all this information about how this helps. And we talked about this off camera with children and adults that have any type of, disability or whatever. And she goes, I have seen where you can take something like that and a hobby like that, especially she goes, a fish tank, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, yes, it's like instant therapy for someone. And she goes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And she said, do not diminish. She said this word to me, your light.
Yep.
Do not diminish your light.
You're hearing it. Again, you're hearing it.
Talk about what you need to be talking about, because there is people. She goes, there are people out there that need this message out of the blue. And so I secretly did a little prayer right then. I was like, thank you, angels. I didn't want to say it out loud.
Another message.
Like,
yeah.
You
keep going. Right, keep going like you're doing.
Yes.
The little Hansel and Gretel trail, breadcrumb trail.
Yeah. And I was like just blown away that it happened like that. And it's just beautiful when something like that happens, because, you know, and you've talked about this. I think we talked about it off camera though, where I'm intuitive and I can read energy with my passengers. So I think my job on a plane is I know the people that need help with flying, like the ones that are very, scared about flying. And so, but I try to make everyone have a good time, because you're sitting crowded in a seat. You might be sitting next to someone you have no idea who they are, when the last time they bathed, who's farting, snoring, whatever.
right. The smell and everything. Yeah. You're like, I'm here.
So I try to be out there, and I try to make everyone, at least smile or laugh or whatever. And I really think that was my calling. And one of the psychics that I saw years ago, she predicted I'd be a flight attendant. She said she did a reading that was called a 5-year spread, where she took the tarot and made a circle until it got to the middle. And she started reading it around. And the very last card was, she goes, I see you on a plane, and I don't ever see you crashing. She said, I see you standing up, you're in a uniform, and you're going to make your passengers feel good. And she goes, I think you're going to love it. And her 5-year reading was exactly on point.
Wow.
Everything she predicted happened within that time frame. So I've always used that gift of whatever you want to call it, about reading the energy to try to help the passengers, that are having a hard time, or just make sure I engage with them so that it makes it more enjoyable to them. And I'm going to tell you one flight story to kind of prove my point. This was about 3 months ago, and I was really put in my place in a good way. So I was working the aisle for boarding, and I was the one in the back of the plane. And so, if you're sitting in main cabin, you ain't got no money. Okay. That's just the way it is. And people dress like they're in their pajamas. So when someone comes forward and
I've seen it on flights.
When they're dressed really, really nice and they're sitting in main cabin, something's up. I'm like, so I see this woman coming forward. She's an older woman. She's dressed in this beautiful suit, and she's carrying 2 handbags that both go with it, but clash. One's plaid and one's striped. Now, for your audience,
hey.
Okay, hang on. So, I started my professional career at 19 in women's couture fashion.
Oh, wow.
So When I talk about fashion, I know what I'm talking about. So she's coming down, and I immediately give her a nickname, Two Bags. Here comes Two Bags. So she's coming forward. Now I'm making fun of everybody. I love to make fun of passengers. It's so much fun. I love it. It's the best part of my job. She's coming forward, and I stop her. I put my hand in front of her. I said, and I go like this. What's up? What's up with these 2 bags? What's up? I said, you had to leave at the last minute and you didn't know which one you were going to take. And you said, I'm just going to take both of them. She starts laughing and she goes, you're almost right. She goes, my husband got a last minute trip and I'm sitting in the back and I had 2 bags. And yes, I know they both match, but I should only be carrying one. And I'm laughing. So she goes and she sits like 2 rows away from me. And then her husband comes on and I hear I can see her. She's watching everything I'm doing. She's watching everybody else I'm making fun of. I mean, I'm just making fun of everybody. And so I especially love the passengers that dress alike because the first thing I say to them is, what? You're afraid you got separated and you got to tell the police. You got to say, oh, they're wearing this. They're wearing what I'm wearing. And, passengers just eat that up. Or I have a sixth sense. I can smell newlyweds. Now, when I say I can smell out a newlywed, I mean literally they could be married 6 to 10 hours and I know it.
Wow.
And I pounce on them like crazy because they are such easy pickings. I mean, they're so much fun to make fun of. So we're doing service, and I don't get to serve her because I'm working in the middle section of the plane, and the flight attendant in the back services the back section. But I had told my crew about 2 bags. I said, hey, well, you got to check out 2 bags. She's dressed very well to be sitting in the back of the plane. So I'm back there bullshitting with my crew. We're done, and we're just waiting for the flight to keep going along. And 2 bags gets up, and she's going to come to the lavatory. Well, the lavatory is right where we sit. So I poke my flight attendant. I'm like, here comes 2 bags. In case you didn't see her.
It's so funny. I'm thinking Tommy Two-Time from Goodfellas.
Yeah, she comes back, and I go ahead and I open the lavatory door for her, which I do for a lot of passengers. I open the door for them. Or I tell them, no, don't go in there. That's the men's. That always
that gets them every time. Right?
What do you mean? Anyway, it's just a game I play. So she goes in there and she turns to me and she goes, Anthony, do you not know who that is? And I go, what? And she goes, you don't know who she is, right? You know her. You know who that is, right? I said, no, who is it? She goes, she's famous for interviewing serial killers. And I go, what? She goes, she's on 60 Minutes. It's Jane Pauley. And I go,
wow.
I said, why is she sitting back here in our cabin?
I literally was about to say that. Why is she sitting in my cabin? Because they usually go on first business or first class, because they don't want to be around everybody.
I pull her up on my tablet and I was like, oh, she's listed under her married name, her husband's name, and her husband's with her. She said her husband had a business meeting at the last minute. Yep. And that's why they're sitting in the back. Oh my God, it's hysterical. I said, well, I ain't letting her go now. I got to figure out what's going on. Now she got 2 bags and it's Jane Pauley. I got to make fun of her again. So the door opens and I say, what's up? What are you doing back here? And so she laughs and she says, I told you I couldn't get a seat up front because it's my husband. And he got called for a meeting at the last minute and he said we had to hurry. So I grabbed both my bags and I'm just dying laughing. She's so hysterical. She's just laughing like crazy. Then she reads me. Oh my God. This woman has a gift. She read me like that. She goes, I watched you. I watched the passengers around you. She said, you have them cracking up and they love it. She goes, they love to be made fun of by you. She goes, that's the energy that you put off when you're on the plane. I said, I love to have fun and I love it when they have fun because they'll remember it. Because there's flight attendants out there that don't even acknowledge you most of the time. Let alone someone who stands there and picks on you and you enjoy it. I said, so yeah, that's the fun part. So she kept going on and on. She goes, I'm gonna go back to my seat now. I said, well, I heard you talking to everybody else. She goes, oh yeah, I was talking about you out there. I was talking about how people were just loving what you were doing. So she turns around and so my coworker goes, that's the same person that takes apart serial killers, just took apart you. And I just started, we just dying.
But really, I get it because you would have to have some kind of, really like people that talk to serial killers, like you have to be a special kind of person, I think, to interview a serial killer and get them to really open up, be authentic about their story and pull that out of them. A lot of them, they don't want to talk about it, because some of them are prideful or whatever, but some of them that I have, kind of sat there and kind of worked through some of the trauma, why they did what they did, and are ready to really be authentic about it. That to me takes a special person to kind of get them to want to open up and talk about stuff. But the other reason I think you're on, a flight attendant is not just to uplift people, like me. I'm the same way. I'm like a joker, I always am bubbly
Yeah.
and, you know, just so positive and stuff. And everybody always tells me you always uplift whatever space you're in, with your
Yeah.
energy and loving and stuff. Well, the other thing is, as far as, Twin Flame, what you came here to do is affect people's auras and activate. You're a spiritual activator. So just don't discount that either. You coming into contact and flying all over the world like that, and especially your little excursions around the world when you get off in different places of the world,
Yeah.
don't discount that. That's part of your grid work. So,
Well, okay. So maybe this will make sense to you. My passengers feed me energy when I interact with them and
yeah,
we're having a
it's a
good time.
transference of energy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You're
It's like I can feel
activating them by sharing that energy. Your aura alone and you sharing that aura just with their presence like that act is an activator. You give light
that's
codes
how it feels.
and
That's
they
how it feels.
actually help exchange light codes in a way with you. So it's like a
Yeah.
soul contract to come into everybody that comes into your life. There's a soul contract. No matter how short or minuscule or whatever, there's a reason why they
Right.
come to you, share, exchange whatever they do, even if it's a wink or a hug, whatever a word,
Right.
it's always for a reason. So,
There's then you'll this might make sense to you. A few years ago, I started being a flight attendant in my daily routine when I would go anywhere publicly. I talk to anybody I want to talk to. I go up and interrupt conversations just like I would if I was on a plane. And people will come by me, and I notice this all the time. They will look at me and they will smile.
yep.
Now, I'm talking about even going to Walmart when,
People
most
staring at
people, hey,
you. Do people stare at you too? They do
yes,
that with me.
and I can go up to I will go up to a couple and resolve an issue instantly. Like I can hear what they're saying, and I'll go up and say, all right, this is what you need to do. And I'll just give
You're
it,
like a
but it'll be
spiritual
playful.
mediator. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
make
it's
a
like I'll
peace.
do it, but it's playful.
Hmm.
And it's never gotten me into trouble. Like, okay, today I went to Whataburger through the
I love
drive-through
Whataburger.
and I saw,
We got them here
yes,
too. I love it. They just
yeah.
opened up a new one like not 5 minutes from me. I'm like, oh no.
Well, I saw a woman walking across from a hotel 2 doors down with her two little kids. And I thought, oh, she's walking. Okay. So I thought she went in to the Whataburger because I'm in the driving lane. So I knock on the window because they're still preparing my order. They opened the window. I said, hey, would one of you go and look and see if the woman with the two little kids just came into the restaurant? And they come back and they said, no, she didn't come in there. Why did you want to know? I said, because I was going to pay for her meal. And they said, why? And I said, okay, if you're out in 109-degree weather and you're walking with your two little babies and you're walking to a Whataburger, you need something done for you right now. I said, she needed an uplift. And I said, I thought she was coming in here. But of course, it was another fast food on the other side of us. And so the guy looked at me and he goes, I've never heard anyone say something like that. And I said, think about it. What would you think if you saw someone on the street walking, trying to get food, and she's not begging for anything? She's not asking for handouts, but she doesn't have transportation. That person needs a pick me up right now. And I said, I'm willing to be that pick me up right now. So I was really disappointed because I couldn't find her after that. It took them so long to get my food that I drove the block around to see if she went into another, and I lost track of her. And I felt really bad because I felt like my purpose at that point was to get her and her kids a meal so that would help whatever situation she was under right at that time. And I don't know if this is because, and now this would have to be a projection on my part. I felt the need to do this, but it went unfulfilled. And I thought, is this because I've had like a upgrade in my intuition? I mean, I would normally probably wouldn't have an intuition that far away. It usually happens when I'm right there with someone or I can hear someone. So I kind of didn't understand the situation and why it didn't the way I thought it was going to come through. I thought she was going to go in. I was going to get her the meal for her and her kids, and then that would
Whatever
help her and
needed
her
to
dad.
happen happened, but it wasn't the way your mind, your ego mind felt like it should happen. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we get that little confused with our intuition. And that's just my interpretation of it. I mean, I feel like our ego mind steps in a little bit and they're like, okay, well, why did this end up this way? We don't understand what's happening on a soul
Right.
level. The transference, just that brief little moment, a look, whatever, we don't know what was communicated on a soul level. So whatever needed to happen, you just have to trust that it already took place, even though sometimes our mind wants to. And who knows? I mean, maybe part of that was intuitive in that you'll bump into that person later on. And
I did wonder because of his reaction, it changed his outlook from that moment going
I think you
forward
affected
to
somebody
when he
else. Yep.
I think so. Because when he brought the food, he's like, "You have a really nice day." And he was being very sincere. And I thought, okay, maybe that's the interaction I was waiting for, is someone who is at a drive-through window and needs to have a friendly perception to the people coming through their window. Because I don't know. We don't know the big picture about stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing. Like, I feel like you, I like to get in my head, oh wow, this, da, da, da. But I feel like when we do that, we kind of I don't I don't think anything happens by chance, and I don't think anything's a mistake. Everything happens for a
Exactly.
reason, even if
Yeah,
our
I
ego
agree.
mind tells it was a mistake. There really are
Yeah.
no mistakes. We just have choices and different timelines split off from each choice point, right? So yes, our ego mind wants to try to figure out, oh, did I pick this person, or was I here for that person, or whatever? But when we start letting go of the need to know that, I think that's where the magic happens. We just kind of like, oh, just float through, like, oh, cool, that's cool, and
Yeah.
whatever. I'll just go over here. I started learning how to do that instead of being all in my head, like wondering, wow, I guess I was meant to do this and this and this. And then I just went with the flow, staying in the moment and just staying in that unconditional love as much as I can and appreciation and just sharing that bubbliness and the love with people. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it'll come back to me later, like at the end of the day, when I'm
Yeah.
sitting there thinking about the events of the day and I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool how that worked out. Oh, wow. And sometimes you don't know. I mean, but I think
Yeah.
that staying in the moment is the important part, you know, living in just that present moment of experiencing those, people and interacting with them.
Yeah.
And whatever happens on a soul level, it's like we won't know until we get to the other side what kind
Right.
of effect we have on everybody around us, and
Well,
how
I'd
much
love to
you brightened
hear.
up that. And this is something that my guy friend he's wanting to come on and share. He's wanting to do a few interviews too, because he's had so many experiences and he's got gifts too, spiritual gifts. But he's had so many experiences where he has realized just being there for somebody and holding space for him or praying for him or just giving that word to him of encouragement to him in that moment, how much of like a very profound effect it had on that person's life later. He found out later on. And I mean, people's lives were changed by just like a small little act that he's done or something he said. And we just really have to live in that, just knowing that everything that we do is soul and intuitively guided by source, by our higher selves, our guides. We have to trust that everything that happens for a reason. It's happening when it's meant to happen in divine
Yeah.
timing. And, you know, it's hard staying in that. Our ego wants to, but I want to figure this out. I want to think about this
Yeah.
and figure out what every
Yeah.
little detail about it. And I know I got air ascendant, so I'm all in my head all the time, overthinking to the nth degree, and the perfectionism is there. So it's difficult, but it's like I just have to learn how to let go and detach from the need to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I think we could completely talk, like I said, for days.
Yeah.
Um, but I really want to try to wrap up this episode because I think I could probably split this in like 2 or 3 episodes. Honestly,
Probably good.
we talked about so much stuff and it's amazing. I love our
We
connection.
should have had the recorder going before because we covered a lot of fun stuff.
I know, but I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, like me being new at this is only my second interview. I want the people to be comfortable too, especially if they've never
Right.
been, on as a guest on a podcast. I'm new at
Right.
this. You're new at this. I want them to feel comfortable and ready to talk. I don't want them to feel like, you're
Yeah. Yeah.
you got the freeze up moment. When you're like, I don't know what to talk about. I want them to
Yeah.
feel like, especially since I didn't know a whole lot about you other than what you shared on the email, which honestly, I didn't get a lot of time to read. I glanced through it, but
Okay. Tell everyone what it was. What I
I
called
had
it.
such a
I
hectic,
called it
busy
my
week that
dissertation.
yeah, I haven't had a chance to even read through all my emails, let alone like process any of that. So I skimmed through it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go. I can see how this day's going, how this week's going. I'm gonna have to just go as I'm guided, like because I just, like I have to again surrender. I have to
Yeah,
constantly get back to that surrender state and say, I wanted to read through this. I really wanted to be, again, that need to
yeah,
control. And that's
yeah,
what I'm being guided. That's what we're all being guided to do. Let go of the need to control the process and how everything
yeah,
is supposed to show up. And that was
yeah,
another test for me and a trial for me. There's the information sitting there. Are you gonna read? Are you gonna read it? And I'm like, when am I gonna have time? I won't get sleep. I won't get, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I had to prioritize self-care, my rest,
yeah,
all that. And I said, you know what? If it doesn't happen, if I can't read through it, I just have to trust that it's for a reason. And it was for a reason, you know.
yeah.
And that
Because
I'm telling you,
we
every
started just
episode so
talking,
far is different, it happened differently. So we have,
but it's so interesting because as soon as we started talking, there was no discomfort. It
yeah,
just came out.
soul recognition. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
that soul family. And
yeah,
and it was like that with my guy friend, and that I drew to believe that he's probably a form of a divine masculine in my life that is like a what they call it, kingdom spouse, I guess.
yes.
I'm really starting to believe that it's a potential for that. And again, I'm still learning, but I prayed for
So,
that. I prayed for that and I asked, okay, God, since, my DM didn't choose, this path or whatever that I feel like we were supposed to do. Yes, we're supposed to be in separation, and I do trust everything happens for a reason. It's part of the process. And we are meant to be in separation for a reason to do the self work and all that. But I said I needed the support at that time, and my soul felt guided to pray for another
right,
stand-in, basically masculine for protection and to help ground me, keep me grounded on my journey, on my life purpose, to help me with the life purpose. And I believe he came in right at the right timing when I was ready for that. And he knows it was, soulmate. He knows that we were guided together.
yeah,
Um, we've already helped heal each other like within the first 3 days. We were having
that's
emotional releases
amazing.
and therapeutic conversations with each other, bringing up stuff that, we hadn't told a whole lot of people. For him, I think he might only told 2 people in his life. And
Wow.
some stuff he hadn't even told his therapist, I think. And so that's part of one of my gifts I've learned here recently, just in the last, since I met him. I've really come to realize that that's another one of my spiritual gifts. Is it's almost like, from the way I'm now understanding it this week, I
Yeah,
feel like what I do is I create a safe space, like in my arc. When people come into my
right.
arc bubble, I create that safe space for them to feel safe, to open up. And
Mhm.
it's to let whatever needs to come up and be expressed come up, to be, number one, released. Number one, you bring it to recognition that, oh, wow, how did you get that out of me? I get that result from people all the time.
Okay,
Strangers,
then you,
strangers I meet in a store, walking wherever.
right.
I'm standing there in line at the Dollar General. They just start telling me their life story, and I'm like, I've just kind of gotten used to it, and I know that have that effect on people. But
Right.
whatever that exchange is, they needed to say what they needed to say and get it out. It helped them, and that's what I did
Well,
for him in the first
think
3 days.
about it.
Hmm?
With your wanting to build on this, that needs to be one of your gifts.
Hmm.
Because that way you can talk to anyone at any level and make them comfortable enough to share whatever story is that they have to tell, even if they've never told anyone else before.
Right.
Because the nice thing about being in this form is you're basically, yes, other people are going to watch it, but the conversation is between you and that other person.
Right.
So it's very personal. So you need to have that ability to make someone feel comfortable enough
Mhm.
to divulge that information. And then once they've done it, they can release it
Right.
and it helps them move forward.
Right.
And then you don't think about, oh, well, how many people are going to watch that? That's not even that doesn't,
Right.
shouldn't come. I don't think that would come into anyone's mind. That doesn't
I'm
bother
enjoying it
anybody.
in the moment, and that's for
Yeah.
me. That's the joy I get. Is number one, I'm learning about the person. There is a spiritual
Right.
connection. Everybody that
Yeah.
comes on my channel is guided into it. Like they come on my channel for a reason.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to do that transition, that connection, and that that interaction. But we both come back changed. That we have that exchange. There's, light codes or things that are activated within both of us. There's releases done, and that exchange, we go our ways, but we move past things. We can go to the next level, whatever we're doing. And I know that's part of my work, is not just to help give people a platform to help others by sharing their story of whatever they've gone through. Also give other people hope that you're not, okay, I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I don't believe in hell. I believe it is what you create. If you believe in that, you create that for yourself, that experience. But I always had a problem when I was a child with believing that a loving God would create hell. Now, I believe hell is here on earth. We go through hell here in a way.
Oh my God. You have said a mouthful.
Yeah.
I have been saying this since I was a teenager, that there is no physical hell. It's here.
We can manifest it when we cross over if we believe that is what we experience.
I believe our trials are here.
Yep.
If you don't make it through, you are destined to do this.
You got to do it again. You got to come back and do it again. And that to me is the word, like really the worst hell, because you're putting your soul through all that trauma over and over. Because you got to learn those lessons before you can ascend and go to the next level and to, get past it. And to me, like they say, hell on earth.
You're the only other person.
Hell on earth.
You're the only other person I've ever talked to, other than very close friends of mine, that I've divulged that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that's crazy. And I'm like, no, think about what we do as humans to each other. We do way worse to each other than what any entity could come up with, because we are in our ego. And when you get people that are in that level and love that kind of level and love that dark energy, they'll just run with it and do whatever they want to. And to me, I was mad originally when I woke up about why I had to have this test. And then I realized, okay, well, this goes back to that newborns' inability to not feel like they were abandoned.
Right.
And so in every relationship I had, I left first.
I did the same thing. I run away first. I detached emotionally, and I went. Yep, that was me. I was always leaving everybody.
So I would not.
Avoidance. Yep.
Yeah. So I hated that it took decades and decades and decades to figure that out. And I have asked for this. If I must come back, if I must, please, I want to have all my knowledge and all my gifts at my disposal. I do not want to start from scratch. So I would prefer to be able to ascend forward and to take a place up in the hierarchy to help other peoples that are on earth. Because once we've lived in this ego, we know what to expect, and we could probably be really good at helping people from the hierarchy.
Yes.
Instead of being on the ground. Because on the ground.
Boots on the ground. Yep.
It's really difficult to manifest any kind of change. It's hard because the masses are against you. I mean, people are meant to push people down. And I think if we were on an ascended level where we could be the ones doing the guide.
That's why we came. That's why we came to wake people up and get them to that level so that we can get going on that trajectory. And
I'd much rather be on that next than.
By the way, I have a Metatron talisman.
Do you? Okay.
I got it probably last year sometime in one of my, I think it was Mindful Souls, whatever package. Okay, I specifically was guided to buy that extra.
Okay.
And I didn't even know Metatron back then. I didn't even know about all this. That came up later readings, and then I was connecting to Metatron.
This is
Archangel Michael and Gabriel, just like you. And I'm like, this is so crazy. And then the Ariel thing came up, and I'm like,
this is so weird that you mentioned this is so weird that you mentioned this. All right, so I do a lot of thrifting for the hobby. I go to the Goodwills and all that kind of stuff, and to get things for the terrarium side, because I don't build anything in a traditional terrarium. I'm using stuff that people don't want, and I can pay $3 or $6 for it and build something. So I was told think it was 6 weeks ago, an owl is very important to you.
An owl,
Like,
yes.
an owl. And I was like, okay.
I've been told that too, but me. Yep.
So the next day, I was out with my family visiting from Vegas, and we were out thrifting for the whole day. And so I was with an adoptive nephew, I mean, the friend of my niece that considers me his uncle now. And they're all adults. So we're in this one place, and we're looking down a row of glassware, and I see something down there that's blue and white porcelain. I was like, oh, I need to go see what that is. And it's round. I was like, and it was turned around backwards. I thought, oh, it's a really pretty pattern. And so I go to pick it up, to look at it. I turn around. It's an owl. It's this beautiful, smooth, blue and white porcelain owl. I'm looking at it. There's not a scratch or a chip on it.
You know what just came to me? The colors.
Yeah.
You know what the colors of Mary Magdalene, her robes are usually?
Oh, yeah.
That just came to me.
Yeah. So I asked Fernando, my nephew, I said, check this over, make sure you don't find any spots on it. No, fine, it's fine. $4, put it in the basket. The next day, we were talking about Buddha all day long. And so I was talking to Fernando, we were talking about Buddha. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you something that I don't tell the public because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. I don't know. I bought a tarot deck without knowing why.
I bought 5 of them. I didn't know.
Okay. All right. So you know what I'm talking about.
I'm not even a tarot reader.
I'm not either.
That's so crazy.
So I bought one because of the artwork. It was flawless. It's beautiful gold and rich colors.
One of them, the first one I got was like the owls. Oh my gosh, that just dawned on me. I wish I could go pull it out and show you. It's actually in the garage. I just put it out there. But it was this deck. I can't remember the name of it, but it was something night. And it had different types of pictures with owls, like barn owls and stuff in it. And I'm like, and not only that, Labyrinth, the movie, was a barn owl. And I loved that movie.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And it was so much spiritual stuff in that movie too. When I watched it with my daughter like a year ago, I was like, oh my God, I'm now seeing all this spiritual stuff in here. It's crazy.
I remember that. So I wanted to use the tarot deck while my family was visiting. And 2 of my family members wanted me to do a reading. And I said, I don't know how to do a reading, but I know how they do the 9-card spread, and I know what direction to read the cards. I said, but I don't know the cards at all.
Yeah, left to right. That's the way you read.
So I said, let's go to a park. There's a park close by that has a stream. And I said, there's a pavilion with shade, and we can sit in the shade. So before I was supposed to do it, for some reason, I brought a blanket to put down on the picnic table. And then China, my pug, had a blue bandana that I kept. So I put the blue bandana down. And I'm like, well, hang on. For some reason, I feel like I need to take my shoes off and go walk in the grass.
Yep, there you go.
I'll take my shoes off, and I go walk into the grass. And I only take a few steps. I'm like, okay, that's enough. So I come back, I sit down. We put the grid out. We do the 9 cards. I got my niece pulling up the card all right, you pull the card up, and if it's in the reverse, we're going to read it in the reverse. All right. So she's doing it. I'm doing it for one of my older nieces first. I said, take a photo of this spread so you can look at this later. Oh my God. When the card was pulled up and I read in the card, it's like I knew what I was doing. I knew how to do the reading.
I did too. I pulled cards on my situation and myself, and I intuitively knew. I did like the 5-card spread. That was what I was guided to do, because I didn't know what I was doing. I just saw tarot reading, whatever. I don't know the different types and how to I just intuitively did it 5, and then I just kept going until I felt done. And I read it like a book. Like as you're doing it, things come to you. You know certain things about some of the cards from the reads. What some of them mean, but intuitively I was picking up stuff too on top of it. And I'm like, this is what this means.
It was weird.
I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
It was the weirdest thing. I did 3 readings that one day, and it wore me out though. It was tiring to do a reading. So I'm going back up to where I live, and I live in a complex. I'm passing where one of the dumpsters, I'm passing a dumpster, and I look down, and there's this white object at the base of the dumpster. And I had told Fernando when I was looking for a Buddha, I needed a Buddha that was a different color. I didn't want gold. I needed something that was pretty. I looked down, it's a freaking Buddha.
Oh my gosh.
Sitting at the base of the dumpster. I
You
slam on my
manifested
brakes.
that.
I slam on my brakes. I get my phone out. I gotta take a photo of it first. I gotta
Right? I've
show
been
them
doing
what
that
it
too,
is.
screenshots and everything of stuff.
Yes. So I'm taking a photo, and behind me pulls the lady, and she goes, "Oh my God, I was just turning around to come get that." I said, "I'm sorry, I'm taking it."
It's
And
mine.
so she starts laughing. She starts laughing, and she kind of pulls up like a block up. And I said, "Wait, wait, wait." And so I grab it. And I'm like, "No, I have to tell you the story. I just was talking about this. I found this here. I'm letting my nephew know, blah, 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 blah." And it's this beigey white sand color Buddha. And he's got his hand up, and it's the protection mode. So he's got all these different like little things he could be doing. But this one, he's showing protection, means stop. You can't enter. This place is protected. And Fernando is what pulled that up, because I didn't know the difference. I didn't know what Buddha was doing.
Yeah,
I just
it's
knew I
like the
needed one.
Jesus. If you see the paintings of Jesus or the statues,
Yeah.
you'll notice he has those hand signals too.
Yeah.
And I
So
don't know if you know that those missing years in the Bible where he was. Did you hear about that? He was
no.
traveling the world, and one of the places he went was he learned the Eastern Asian belief systems, Buddha and them. If you go back and look, I don't know if you heard about this. If you go back and look, well, there's been a few speakers that have talked about this on podcast and in conferences, but there is a correlation between that time frame, like in other religions, like Buddhism and Taoism. Like there's very similar stories of a being that may be called a little bit different in each religion,
yes,
but very similar to Jesus. And he does very similar things. And so there's a lot more coming out now about the hidden years of Jesus and where he was, and they're piecing it together. That was him in those other religions traveling the world. He was learning from all the different religions, and he had to do that in order to come into his life purpose work.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And
we're kind of doing the same thing. Christ consciousness is coming. We're breaking it. And that's crazy. I'm getting goosebumps now because I'm now, recalling again what I said earlier about going to this different denomination churches in my youth, like up into my early, 20s, and even 30s, I went to different denominations. I was married into one. I was brought up in another one. I went to Catholic. I went, so many different ones. Gosh, I even went to Pentecostal holiness. We spoke it when we sang at one. Me and my biological mother. The 2 years I did spend with her, which was crazy, by the way. It was very traumatic for me. But that's what got me down the Gulf Coast from Atlanta into Pensacola was my biological mother and my stepdad, and lived with them for a couple of years. And that was like hugely catalyzed me through another, like a ego death, and triggered a lot of wounds there and stuff. But that's a whole nother story. But it was just crazy how I was forgetting where I was going with that, but the story about Jesus kept coming up, like in different religions, and you start piecing it together. And what's crazy is this is gonna really piss off a lot of people, but it's now coming up now, and a lot more people are speaking out about it. Aaron Abke is one of them, and I felt so validated by hearing him say this recently on his podcast, the Jesus Way podcast, that I was like, wow, my mom was right, because she had intuitive gifts too. But because of her unhealed woundedness, I think a lot of her visualizations or things that she experienced, maybe ego mind kind of twisted it, the illusion that we see and we want to believe. And so part of it was very true, I do believe, and part of it was not. She wanted to keep me stuck there. She wanted to keep me controlled. She wanted to, use my manifesting, money making, abilities that I didn't know I had back then. And then we're talking like in my early 20s when this happened, and I'm 46. So, it's really crazy how now I'm hearing about these things 20 years later. People are now validating the things my mother said about Paul. Paul in the Bible was the one that created the church now. She ripped out all of Paul's writings out of the Bible when I lived with her. I thought she was
Wow.
crazy. I thought she was
Well,
crazy.
that would seem like something that is
But
crazy.
then it started making sense to me. And I
Yeah.
kind of was like, okay, well, maybe she's got something to this because yeah, a lot of the points
Right.
that she says are like valid. Like they do make sense when you logically think it through and piece it together and study it. So I sort of believed it, but I think my ego mind was not ready yet for it to fully like understand and believe it. But nobody else was even there. She was one of those first level icebreakers, I think, that came in to try to wake people up. But nobody was listening. She was guided to go around to different churches and preach and shake the dust off your feet when they throw
Right.
out your message and despise you or whatever. That was her calling, she felt like. But it's crazy how she had those gifts and she saw that back then, even with the wounding and the twisted illusion, she saw through
Right.
it enough to have that truth. And now, 20 years later, there's others now seeing it too, and they're coming out about it. And I've
But think
always
about it.
spoke to the hypocrisy of why is the church doing X, Y, Z, and you got a million flavors of denominations of the Christian church, and
Yeah.
yet they're all hypocritical. Like they
Yeah.
they all literally some form that they self-sabotage are doing exactly what Jesus said not to do. And I was
Right.
always guided to Jesus's words and the red letters in the Bible. Like I don't know why intuitively knew that. I was connected with them back even back then. I didn't know it. And it's so true. Like if you go through there and you do your own study, it's like even the disciples, like James and stuff, Paul was like against him, like
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Jesus's brother. He grew up with him.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Jesus
But
kind of
it,
sort of put him in charge of the church. Like, and I'm like, how can people follow this man that didn't even know Jesus personally? Like physically grow
right.
up with him. They're following him and they're not
Yeah.
following the people that actually served with him and walked with him, the disciples. I'm like,
Well,
this is
okay.
crazy.
Well, okay. So even take that one step further and look what happened to the history of Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
How she
Completely
was
twisted.
smeared.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all. That was the script that was flipped
Yep.
to put Paul in place, or he
Yep.
took over, hostile takeover. And but if you think about your mom, what do we do in history when someone does speak out and they're speaking out against the norm? What do we always do to that person? We crucify that
Yep.
person.
Yep. It's
They're
that witch
they're
wound that we were talking
they're
about in the beginning.
yeah,
We're here to
they're
heal
mentally
that, okay?
yeah, that person's got to be mentally unstable because
Right.
that's someone who's not in the sheep.
Mhm.
The sheep are
Sheeple.
where that
Yeah.
mentality sits.
Yep.
And when you talk outside the flock, you really open yourself up to being attacked by everybody
Yep.
because you don't when you're in the flock, you don't want to acknowledge that anyone can be out of it because then that has to reflect back on you as why you're in there,
You're
why are you
crazy.
following this
Yeah,
same
there's something wrong
dogma
with you.
that
Right.
everybody's doing.
And that's why so
And
many people
so
are scared of going outside the box of what
yes, because
religion
you
believes
would
and all
stand
that.
outside the norm and people are automatically going to make fun of you. So, but you have to get past that
Mhm.
fear because the
There's going to be no change unless we do
right,
in
I
this
hate to
world.
say it, but
So many things in this world need to change right now. And I'm talking
yeah,
money system, everything needs to go. Like all of that.
yeah,
And I know people are like, she's crazy. Honestly, people that live in a ascended state, I can tell you this, I just know this. They don't need money. They help each other out. They are
right,
communities, they help each other out. They barter, they
right,
trade
right,
services, they look out for each other. That's where we're heading in this ascension. That's where we need to be going. We're not
right,
looking at people's race, color, religion,
right.
whatever sex, gender, where they are. We're looking past that. We're looking at their soul level. We're connected with
It's
their soul level.
I
That's where
okay.
we're
So
heading.
once I visited Pompeii and I learned of their culture. So in Pompeii, all the villas were around a grid with the farm in the middle. Everyone worked in the farm. At least one person from the household worked the farm. so that you had the food bartering system, whether you grew this, X, Y, or Z, everyone bartered. So that's how everyone had sustainability. So what you're talking about is what we've had, but we've gotten away from that. Okay, the one thing, if you want to watch anything that shows you how we've progressed as Americans, I watched a program about Walt Disney.
Oh
Walt
wow.
Disney,
What that's
Walt Disney
that's a
in the
rabbit hole
19
right there. I already know.
yeah, Walt Disney in the 1950s as the park. Okay,
Yeah.
you can see actual footage of people walking in and out and the sizes. Okay, this episode was about the float rides and how they had to increasingly be upgraded for the weights of the passengers over from the 1950s
Yeah.
until the 2000s. And if you were shown that footage now about what regular Americans did that still grew their own food and all that kind of stuff, and to how we live now, you can't
Yeah.
recognize this. You
And what's
cannot.
crazy is I still don't understand this. I mean, I do. I know why, because the control structure and they're keeping us in our wounded state and all that and unhealthy so that
Right.
we can rely on their medical system or whatever.
Yep.
Because Rockefellers all that they created all that, just so they could
Yeah.
keep us stuck and then keep us feeding them money. So they keep us under control.
Yeah.
But once we learn to ascend and stuff, we learn to heal our bodies. Our body will heal itself. Oh, obviously, we'll be guided to eat a certain way. I'm already being guided to eat more vegetables naturally and less red meat and things like that. It's just part of the
Oh my God.
process. We
Hold
are
on.
heading
Stop for a
into
second.
that. And another thing that came to me when we were talking about Pompeii and the structure was when you're talking about we were there and then we're no longer there. This was shown to me like well over a year ago. There are cycles within cycles in our evolution,
Mhm.
in planets' evolution, in solar systems evolutions. There's cycles within cycles. Yes, the stars absolutely mean everything. A lot of people don't want to believe in astrology. It's very accurate. It's actually very true.
Right.
It can predict the events that will happen in the future and have
Right.
happened. And it's just people don't want to believe that. Again, they want to believe the lie. They'd rather believe the lie than believe the
Yeah.
ancients that actually they still are baffled by how they built the Egyptian, the Egyptians built the pyramids and why.
Right.
I already
Yeah.
know why because I've lived there. I already know.
Yeah.
But people are just now slowly catching up to being able to ready to hear that kind of stuff. They weren't ready to hear it even 10 years ago. It was out there,
Yeah.
but people were less likely. They were slowly ascending and we're slowly awakening the collective where they're finally slowly getting to where they're opening up to being able to slowly receive that information and not completely
Yeah.
just throw it out. That you're going to hell, you're crazy. I'm just going to go over here and do this thing. Like they're
Yeah.
just now starting to slowly be open to it. And I've seen over the last 5 years, really, a huge speed up in the process of ascension with people just in the collective around me, where I live, where I work, people in my
Mhm.
building, and how they are now opening up to things that I'm sharing. And I'm guided to share one on one with them.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
it's so cool to see that. Like you talked about that, you were wondering about how I affecting how things I've noticed are affecting people around me and my family. My
Yeah.
my sister's waking up. She was having huge issues in her life, overcoming a lot of trauma from her childhood because we were split up
Mhm.
as children. My brother and I, it was a very traumatic split up. So let's put it that. There was a big fight between my mom and dad when he was coming to pick us up for his weekend. And we got split up basically physically
Oh,
for
wow.
several years as kids. And my mom, she was remarried to the next guy and went and took my sister to Phoenix for many, many years. And then she got to where she, in her mind, she could control her anymore. So she asked my dad if he wanted to take her, and he was like, fine. So she came to live with me when I was about 14. But there was a lot of trauma she went through out there. Now she has been on her own journey. She had to overcome a way more traumas than I did in different
Right.
depths, in a way that were different than me. But she has started helping me on my journey of like encouraging me more and not feeling alone anymore in my family. I felt like the black sheep all the time. Like, why am I the only one that really believes this stuff? And yeah, my brother read a little bit of it, but he wasn't really, in all that.
Yeah.
My sister, I mean, her and I didn't really talk about stuff like that a whole lot back in the day. It's like since she went through this, this last ego death where she went through prison and she came out of this women's center, program, a rehabilitation program. They worked with her on, and they had actually had, a counselor working with her on, work healing, doing shadow work, healing through those traumas. And it really began to really help her. And she started helping me learn about shadow work and started walking me through some
Wow.
of it. And, this is somebody that has admittedly told me in the past that she was jealous of me when she came to live with me and my dad, my
Mm-hmm.
brother, at 14. She told me later, like in her 20s, whether she used to be jealous of me. I was the goody two shoes, never did whatever. I'm like, look, I got pregnant when I was 15. Like, I hid that from a lot of people. I was embarrassed. And no, I didn't keep the
Yeah.
baby. And I was embarrassed about that too. But again, that was part of my journey. But I'm like, where? When you're like you were jealous of me? What? Like, it came out
Yeah.
years later, but it's amazing that she's helping me through her healing journey. She helped me in a way, like get on the shadow work path. Because at that time,
Yeah.
again, I was still new to the twin flame journey, and this was, I don't know, a year and a half ago. I was just starting to figure out about inner work. I didn't know what they were talking about. I was more focused on the readings and what they were saying about divine masculine, right? What's he doing?
Yeah.
Than I was on shadow work. I wasn't at that point yet where I was really starting to do and know what shadow work is and start doing it. So she helped me get me on that path. And amazing to me, it's amazing. Like seeing my sister now from where she was in this very wounded
Right.
state, kept cycling over and over in the same toxic patterns, attracting the same types of men that were very, what drugs, alcohol, whatever, and we get her back in that cycle and go back into jail, lose her kids, whatever, And it's so many
Yeah.
things happened to her. And I'm like, God, you really had it rough, But that's what she incarnated. That was her soul contract to go through that,
Right.
to go through that process. But she helped me. And I see it now her ascending and changing. My stepmother, I'm able to help her. I've helped her open up a little bit about some trauma, for my dad when he passed
Mm-hmm.
away. Soon that they were married for like 2 months, and he didn't make it through surgery, and there was a 50-50 chance it
Wow.
was a brain tumor,
Yeah.
and that was how quick he was gone. And it's like, wow. I think she's still having trouble processing it. It's little by little that she's still, and it's been, gosh, he passed in 98 and she's
Wow.
still crying. And every time we were very careful how we mentioned dad. And she's even been remarried since then. And she still cries over it.
Wow.
So I've seen now how she's helped me, like support me on the way and help give me faith and stuff, from her perspective and her
Yeah.
belief. But it's also helped support me financially and things like that when I went through some trauma stuff and some bad decisions and I had to learn. And like we're helping each other. So now I'm seeing her
Yeah.
evolve and learning how to heal and speak of those things little by little as she's able to, handle the emotions because she's, and she's up in a state of hoarding as well. And hoarding is just another symptom, like
Yeah.
overweightness, like what I
Yeah.
have, another
Yeah.
addiction to try to bury
Yeah.
and feel safe, right? From the
Yeah.
emotion. You bottle it up,
Right.
ball, and whatever
Yeah.
that symptom is that manifests itself in the physical, that's your protection from dealing with
Yeah.
the emotions and working through them. And so I feel that shell is slowly opening up and she's slowly releasing that. She's starting to let go of things now, the hoarding stuff.
Oh,
She's
wow.
starting to give things to me that she has held on to from my dad's, his trombone, his trumpet. She gave me his trumpet. It's been in her attic forever. And he used
Wow.
to play it in the church all the time. Like, I mean, I'm seeing this evolution of her since I've been doing the work. And I've been opening up slowly to, she's still, because she's very much involved in the church. She's my boss there at the church.
Right.
But I see her slowly opening up and evolving. And I can see it in a slow process over the last several years. She's more and more open to spiritual concepts that are outside the religion that she was raised in
Yeah.
and she's very much a part of. So I love seeing the evolution of people ascending. They're starting to spiritually awaken slowly. and know that I had something to do with it because I did the work on myself. I went through the trauma,
Right.
started doing that, and I'm helping them now. So that,
It's like you're seeing a 360.
yep,
Especially, it's beautiful hearing about your sister,
yeah,
completely changing, turning her life around. And then with your stepmom and her, wow, you're talking more than a 25-year trauma
yep,
of your dad. That's heavy. I mean, that's
yeah,
really heavy.
yeah.
If you're still at that stage, oh, bless
Like
her
I said,
heart.
she was here visiting with my sister. They came down from Atlanta to visit just a few weeks ago, and it was still she's still crying. Like we was sitting around the dining table, me, my sister, and her. And then my sister brought down her boyfriend, her new boyfriend, which I actually kind of like for once. I actually got a good vibe on him. I was like, oh, she might have broke that cycle a little bit. So I was like, oh, all right. But
So, what does your stepmom's relationship with her new husband like? If she still has
so
crying
there's
episodes about
yes,
your dad.
there was. Now he's no longer in the picture. His children
Oh,
ripped her, that physically ripped them apart
oh, okay.
very traumatically. And that's a whole nother story. And I don't want to tell a whole lot on there because I don't know, how much she would want to, people
Right.
to know whatever, but that's not my story to tell. But
Yeah.
she's still, he's no longer in the picture at the moment and she's trying to fight for that. But she's still, it's when she was with him, it still came up and she would cry and she talked to him about it. So, and he respected it. He didn't shut her down. He didn't try to, from what I
That's
understand from
good.
what she told me, he was very supportive of her talking about him and, whatever. It just, it's sad to me that it ended up the way it did, but it's obviously for a
Yeah.
reason for her soul growth to move past whatever blockage, and learn whatever
Yeah.
lessons she needed to learn. So,
That's a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very long time. And I still didn't see how quickly it affects her when we mentioned dad. It's like her tears well up, and she shuts it down. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you really? I'm like trying, because she's very like, got my walls up, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to be just intuitive how I approach her about it. Try to be very careful how I not sound pushy or anything, but try to maybe walk herself through it, where
Yeah.
when she's feeling able to write about it, write journal about it, or share with her therapist or whatever, like you need to get those emotions out. And that's the
Yeah.
important part is expressing that crying. Don't shut it down. We're trained to shut it
Yeah.
down because that's what the way our parents raised us. That's the way
Yeah.
society told us to do. Oh, you better suck it up, buttercup. Put your big pants
Exactly.
on.
Yeah.
Like I was raised the same way. My dad break my ass and get your ass in shape and get in there and get that done. Quit crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like boot camp. I'm not
Yep.
kidding, man. And I mean, I
Yeah.
had to work through a lot of that because I mean, you and I are like we came in as open-hearted, heart chakra
Yeah.
people to share our light and our love. And we were
Yeah.
quickly shut down and told that's not,
Exactly.
you don't do that, and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. We went into our wounded state, and their
Yep.
programming. And so we're
Yep.
having to work our way out of it now and show everybody
Yep.
else that it's okay to cry. It's actually
Yeah.
encouraged to cry. You need to get it out because it traps itself in the body and manifests in other ways. It can manifest as dis-ease in your body.